Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Bridging Hearts, episode 3. Today, with me, I have a special guest. At the center, she is known as Miss Jenna, but to me, she is known as Mom. And I'm going to let her do her little introduction. So, take it away.
Well, hello. I'm so excited to be a part of this podcast. My name is Jenna Solis. I am the teen director for the Bridgehampton Child Care and Recreational Center, and I am also the assistant to the executive director, Bonnie Cannon.
Yes, we love it. We love it. So, without Miss Jenna, this podcast would not be like at all because she's the one that introduced me to the center. So, this is really exciting. So, we're just going to get straight into it. How do you feel the center contributes to the community?
Wow, the center just has such a plethora of resources. It's really a place of resource. Families and community members are able to come there. We have a great food pantry, which was instrumental during the pandemic. So we are a resource for additional foods that families may need. We're a resource, obviously, for after school programming and childcare. Many of our parents, have early hour shifts and later hour shifts. And so the center is just really a place where they can take comfort in knowing that their children are being watched, they're being educated by the great programming that's built into our module. And we're almost a one-stop shop for families and community, if you will.
That's beautiful. So what are some of the programs and or like initiatives that the center has for people in the community? Because I know it's more than just a child care place. The center is the center.
Yes.
It houses for everything. So can you share some programs that you guys are partnered with?
No, absolutely. So we have our after school programming, which supports children ages 5 all the way through teenage years, about 17. We also have Teach Me How to Fish workforce development strategy and initiative, which also supports younger adults going into older adulthood with areas in software engineering, real estate, trades. So that's a really great, robust program as well. We have our teen programming, and so there we're able to support teens that are going off to college or maybe are interested in trades or vocational school.
Right.
We provide support there, SAT prep, college prep. The list goes on. We have a Scrabble club, which is also incorporated into the after school model. Chess, which is phenomenal. Clay and just so many other activities. And then we have our wonderful summer program, which so many families and community members, past and present, know to speak so well and highly of. And there we have about, I would say, anywhere from 75 to 100 students that
Wow, that's
participate.
great. That's great. So, you mentioned that you do work with the teens at the center. What personal experiences led you to do that? Work with them.
So I've always had a great passion for youth in general. Since I was a little kid, I was always found working in some capacity, whether it was in church, in my community, being a mentor, kind of without a license. I always call myself Dear Abby, which was a column in the Daily News back in the day, where folks were writing questions and there was always a response. I was kind of like Dear Abby growing up. And so with that, I started mentoring within the New York City public school system. And then an opportunity came my way via Miss Bonnie to where I was able to work with the teens here out in the Hamptons. And so it has just been phenomenal. So I always say I was kind of destined to always work with youth and teens specifically.
Right. So, I mean, I've had the pleasure of working, obviously, with you, with the teens and stuff, and you guys have done a lot of great projects. Is there a project that you guys have done, recently or in the past that really stuck out to you or really, made a mark, left a mark on you?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, most recently in our past season, the theme was pop point of view because I say we all have one. And so, what we were able to do with that project over 6 weeks, the youth were able to understand some civic, civil, and community and social awareness issues, really hone in. And from that, they were able to take a particular area of interest and develop a chair project that we titled Take a Seat. The Take a Seat project has been phenomenal beyond what we ever imagined it to be. So, literally, we got a donation of chairs. The teens got to select a chair that was aesthetically appealing to them, that they were able to design based on an area of interest. So we've had everything from chairs being designed around fast fashion, medical inequality, climate change, teen homelessness. So many different areas, and these chairs have been illustrated. The installation that was done at the Watermill Center back in June was the first of its kind, and the feedback was just phenomenal. But again, it was just a way to ensure that the teens were aware of what's going on in the world and how they're directly affected by these issues.
All right. That's beautiful. So, you did mention that you are also Miss Vonnie's assistant,
Yes.
which is a job. But you work with the teens too. So how do you find that balance between the two? Because I know some days it could be hectic and some days it could be hard, but you always manage to pull through. I've seen it with my own eyes. So how do you do that?
Well, I will just say this. Miss Bonnie is a phenomenal leader, and that makes things a lot easier. It's something to be said about someone that you support that does such phenomenal work and such impactful work. It's phenomenal to speak to someone who is very intentional about the vision of the center and being able to support that. So in that regard, it's easy. That doesn't mean we don't have hectic days. As you've witnessed, sometimes, there's just a lot going on. But where do I find the balance? I find the balance in knowing that at the end of the day, greatness is being formed. Families are being supported. Our community is growing and thriving as a result of the great works of the center. And so that kind of helps with the ease a little bit. Looking at the end result is sometimes the thing that pushes me through to be able to make it all make sense.
Right. So on to the next. They say like with children, everything starts off at home. What are some of the things that you guys kind of help parents with when dealing with a child or dealing with teens? Like, how do you guys collaborate with them to make their child better?
Almost definitely. So one of the great things that the center does is we're heavily involved with the educational component of our youth. And what I mean by that is, we not only get direct advisement from their families as to areas where we can best support, whether it be on the educational front or something personal within the household. But a lot of parents give us the bandwidth to reach out to the schools and understand where their children stand. Because again, you have to remember, these are full-time working parents. And being a parent myself, sometimes you don't always have the ability to be at every conference or be at every show.
Right.
And so the center fills in those gaps. And with the phenomenal staff, as you already met, Mr. Robert, Miss Shanae, and Miss Kim, and the list just goes on and on, we're able to kind of fill in those gaps. And so we get the option sometimes to speak with teachers directly, receive feedback from them from the school. Parents can walk in and talk to us directly or set up an appointment with Miss Bonnie to talk about, any specifics that they may be dealing with in home life, any challenges, and we avail ourselves. We hear them. And I think that's what's greatly appreciated by our families is that they feel heard. So those are just some areas in which we support.
And I definitely could, agree with you on that. I definitely feel like the children there are definitely heard. I see parents coming in and out and talking to you guys all day long. So you guys are definitely a great support system for them. So now, can you tell me, what does a day in the life of Miss Jenna look like, starting from the center?
Wow.
I know it's different day in, day out, but can you give us a general view of what your day is like at the center?
It's fun-filled, I must say. I always tell Miss Bonnie, and this is like the running joke, I feel like the center needs a show all of its own. You know how you see reality TV, and I wish that sometimes we could just have cameras at the center, because the laughs are sometimes endless.
Something like The Office.
Something like The Office, exactly. Like, we could totally have our own version of The Office. The kids are hysterical because you don't know what they're gonna say. It's like that show, Kids Say the Darndest Things. They really do, and they do the darndest things. But a day in the life for me, everything begins with the administrative front. So, I'm monitoring Miss Bonnie's calendar, ensuring that any appointments that she may have had are aligned accordingly, because her schedule does pick up immensely. And then, doing the rounds, ensuring that the operational component is intact. Anything that we need to be ahead of in terms of events, and the coordinating aspect of it, that everything is flowing accordingly. And really, everyone is a jack of all trades at the center. And so I can't say that there's just this, regimented pattern or structured pattern that I follow every day, because that's not necessarily true. You really don't know day to day what everything is going to look like. And I actually say, where someone might say that's a little troublesome or chaotic, I actually appreciate that, because something is just always going on. There's just never a dull moment.
Never a dull moment at all. I can agree. There's never a dull moment. But that's what makes the center.
That's what makes the center the center.
It's a great place to be. So what are some of the misconceptions about the center?
Misconceptions about the center. I won't necessarily speak to any misconceptions, but I will speak to just there being a clear understanding of the offerings of the center. Our motto is, don't drive by, stop by.
Yep.
And I would encourage people to do that more, so that they can truly see the greatness that the center has to offer. We just moved into our new 7,000 square foot building, which is absolutely phenomenal.
Beautiful.
It's a beautiful building, aesthetically, and the children just really make it come to life. They have their personal spaces where they can have robust programming. We're developing all of this state-of-the-art, high-tech experiences for them. So there's just so much more than I think meets the eye if you're driving by. And so more than speaking to misconceptions, I just think that people really should stop by, attain literature, maybe even set a meeting up with Miss Bonnie just to learn about the robust programming that is happening right here in the Bridgehampton community and beyond. As much as we are a community-based organization. We're spreading out and we're reaching out to the East End as a whole.
Right.
There's just so much to offer. And so find out what we're doing.
Right.
You know, we're more than just a child care center. We're a full-fledged resource center for all.
Right. And that's so funny that you said that, because Mr. Robert said the same thing on his episode. Like, don't just drive by, stop by. And I love that motto because I see firsthand what you guys have to offer. You guys are more than just a child care center. You guys are the center.
We're
like,
the center.
Especially in Bridgehampton. Like, it's such a gem, and I feel like a lot of people don't know about it because they don't stop by.
Yes.
And we are going to end our podcast with one last question. Okay. Can you tell me one of the most memorable moments you've had at the center?
The most memorable moment, I have to say, and it almost brings tears to my eyes, because I remember first being introduced to Miss Bonnie. We were at a mentoring event, and she was so excited to share the center with me. It was a Saturday afternoon. I will never forget it. And we were maybe about 15 minutes away from the center, and she took the time to take me to the center. And I remember pulling into the driveway, getting out the car, and standing right in the center of the parking lot and looking around. And I instantly felt like that was where I belonged.
Right.
It was just such a drawing. And mind you, this was a Saturday afternoon, so there were no children there. There were no other cars, no other people. It was just us. And I was able to kind of just do a look around, and the energy felt amazing. And it felt like somewhere where I knew kids wanted to be.
Right.
Because as an adult, I felt like that's where I needed to be. And so unbeknownst to me, maybe about 3 to 6 months later, you know, I would have an opportunity to actually be at the center. So that is my most memorable.
Wow, I love that.
Yeah, moment at the center.
Well, Miss Jenna, Mom, I really, really, really appreciate you coming on my podcast today. You dropped some gems. And everyone, stay tuned for the next episode, because that's a doozy. So bye, everyone. Thank you.